quietly today. Call the meeting to order at 5 o'clock on October 14th. This is our workshop, so we're not doing, you don't even need to do that for workshops, really. No, so,
Yeah, but it feels good, doesn't it?
do you want to bang on it a minute?
I
Make you
do,
feel
I
better?
do.
Just do it.
I was delicious.
Field it.
Let's keep it for roll call.
With authority.
Let's keep it for roll call purposes, so we can document who's at least at the workshop
Okay.
for record purposes.
So today we are missing Marianne and Mike Farnell. And we are going to be going over the online board self-assessment survey, and that is in the packet, right? And I'm
Yeah.
old, so I asked for it to be printed out.
Under public view.
Thanks you guys for filling the survey out, appreciate it.
Who's Onion? Did we ever figure that out?
I am.
You are.
1988, you were Seahawk. right?
Seahawks.
Considering how anonymous it is, I'm glad we're all identifying each other.
Oh, is it supposed to be none? Like
I
that?
mean, it did say it was
Oh.
anonymous.
But it doesn't tell you on here, like, who said
Gotcha.
what, they just take it, it's just a way to identify who,
Actually did it.
yeah. Marianne did not do the survey,
Okay.
Mike Farnell did, so 4 did. Thank you.
So I think from the perspective of taking a look at this, this is board's assessment of your own thoughts on the various principles of being a board member. And so we talked a little bit with the not OSPI, the WASDA director, and there's a couple different ways to approach this. Number one, I think, is just to walk through it and kind of discuss each section. Second way would be is to take it to a more formal level, would be to bring in a facilitator from WASDA to help interpret, transition this into some goals.
Do you want plugged in also?
No, thank you, I'm all right for now.
Do you guys have it up?
No, I'm having trouble.
Okay.
Oh, I am not able to get into this.
Which thing do you have up? Is it through board?
I don't have it, but, I haven't gone on there yet. I called Kayla and asked to print mine.
Usually you can get into them.
Yeah. Let me try it this way.
Oh, there we go. But that's the study session. And then I have it pulled up behind you guys too.
So this is what I couldn't get.
Is it on the email?
No, it should be in board, it's in board docs, right?
And then it's
Mhm.
It's in board docs.
There it is.
Interesting.
and so if you click on the B1, the WASDA board self-assessment tool.
Oh, geez, I didn't even see that little.
That's okay. So you click that, and if you scroll down on the right-hand side, then it's that WASDA document.
Got it.
Box.
Sorry.
So we have done this a couple times.
So
Let's
it's
see.
only every 6 or 7 years?
It's only whenever the board says they want to do it. You can do it
Well, I'll
whenever
be
you want.
honest with you, it hasn't, getting everybody to want to do it has not always been easy.
Okay.
I can't even get on board docs. I'll wait for Michael to get his up.
Don't, I may not be able to get in, just, I read it before, I'm good.
You can't get into board docs, or?
No, I can't get into my computer.
Oh, that's not fun.
Oh, look, we have IT here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it,
you do a lot of Linux with two-factor authentication?
Oh, it's not for the school board.
Which is own, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the problem.
Always a personal
That's the
one.
problem when you get your own.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on, it's all right, I will deal with it. I read it, I looked at it again just before coming in, I'm happy, I'm fine. I mean, it's a bunch of graphs, I thought we nailed it.
So when I did mine, like, a lot of them I was like, nope, nope, pretty much all of it. Nope, 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 nope. I didn't feel like we did like enough.
A lot of it, I felt like I hadn't been here long enough to answer.
To know?
Yeah. So I'm like, meh.
So-
I'd like to think we do.
So provide responsible school district governance.
I think we do, but I think that there's a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah, that's
Kind of a lot of it
I did a
was-
lot of most of the time, but like there's no, but this could be better. I know it's just like,
So if you look at the thing and you think, okay, based on this decisions on what's best for student success, you know, the question I'd ask myself is, okay, most of the time we do, but not all the time, or some of the time. So what kinds of things interfere with that?
The law.
Okay, that's fair.
You know, I mean, COVID's a great example. Did we put student success above anything else? I mean, I guess we did, because we said that, you know, only,
We had
being
two
in
very
class was the
different-
most important
We
thing.
had two very different political
Right.
definitions of how it was best.
But
The kind-
having them in school was the bottom line most important, and so I guess we at least nailed that down. But, I mean, just an example of like, things that get in the way.
But I guess my question was, did you think of that, COVID, when you answered this question?
Yeah, I thought of that, I thought of our policies, I mean, like, when we get, you know, I mean, when you get recommendations on things like, you know, don't you know, participation cannot be considered attendance. Where does that come from? I mean, those kinds of laws don't make sense to me. But that's beyond our control.
I think we, like,
I mean, I looked at it, it was like most of us were like most of the time, right? I mean, number one, how many things can you say all of the time?
very few on any subject.
I think most of the time is still,
That's pretty
you
good.
know,
I think.
maybe an A minus,
Yeah.
you know?
I'm probably the one that did like some of the time the most, and I think most of mine were just because I see like where we have so much room to do better in
Mhm.
this stuff. Because I'm like, ooh, we should do this and we should do that. And it's like, how do you get the time to like do all the stuff that you want to do?
Very fair.
Like, okay, so standard 2, like set and communicate high expectations for student learning with clear goals and plans for meeting those expectations. I think we could do a lot better in that. I guess I'm probably gonna say that for every single one of these. So how do we, do we look at it like, how do we pick some of these to be our top priorities of what we wanna focus on?
Yeah, and I was just thinking about that, maybe going one by one isn't necessarily the right way to do it. Maybe we go through and identify some areas that have some things that stick out. Either as showing that we're not doing that very much, and if we're not doing it, what does it mean? And maybe, or anything that might look a little bit different.
Because I'd like to come out, I mean, I know we can get WASDA up to go through it with us, and that might probably have been like the best way to do it, but this is free for us to do this.
Right.
But I'd like to, the time that we spend with this today, to come out of it with, these are kind of our top things that we see out of all this list that we'd like to focus on, and we do our next board retreat, and this is kind of what we want to focus on, that we feel like either we can make the most impact by doing, or that we're not doing as well as we should.
Does the one on them mean one person picked it? Is that what that means? When you look at the bar graph up there?
Does the what?
So I'm looking here, standard one. Well, Kayla's looks different. It's got the percentages, but I presume 31% equals one person. But if you look at standard one, question 12,
Where do you see that? I just see percentage number.
He's down quite a bit.
Page 8.
Oh, you're on
Yeah.
a different graph?
I'm on page 8.
Okay.
Well, that's a big difference. Okay.
Yes, Dan, you're correct. One.
So page 8 on here is not the same as this page 8, because you're looking at question what?
I was looking at question number 12.
Okay, so use written protocols for its interactions.
No,
One,
excuse me.
two.
It was on page 8, excuse me.
That is 8.
Okay, it is. Okay. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, because some of these have percentages, and then, oh, some have just numbers. Okay. I missed that.
Clock time's off. Two-factor ain't going. Anyway, yeah, I was a little surprised. Yeah, the percentages on them, like, if there's 4 of us that voted, if all 4 of us pick something different, shouldn't they all be 25%? How do you get like 7%? We had 4 people voting. Like, the least it should be on anything would be 25%.
That is true.
And then on these, it's easier to see. 'cause
Yeah,
it's like
on those,
1,
yeah, it's
3, yeah.
Right, but the percentage ones, I'm
Up at
like,
the
where
top
the heck
ones.
did that come from?
6%.
Yeah.
Is that like doing, that doesn't make sense.
No, no, it does not.
This comes automatically done from the,
WASDA does it once they get like all this stuff.
I was wondering that too. I was like, why does that say 7%?
Let's ignore that for the
Okay.
moment.
Well, okay, so
So that is a
maybe,
good call, like, this
Well,
is not adding up.
just throwing out a suggestion, so there's quite a few, I mean, like I said, I'm the newest one here, so there's a lot that I go, I don't know if we're doing that. I saw that there were at least a few where more than 2 people put, I don't know. Why don't we look at some of the I don't knows and turn around and at least eliminate them and go, we are doing that, there is a policy. This thing is annually reviewed in November, you know what I mean? If we can cross some of those things off, it seems like easy, at least elimination.
So-
Or maybe it turns out that we're not doing them, and we should put them on an
I
annual.
think these top graphs are going across the board, what WASDA sends out. Because the bottom ones have a number of people, and that makes sense.
Right.
These are like across the board what they're seeing.
Right?
The aggregate data, so is it? all-
I think it's from maybe the whole state.
No, I like the idea of that. So question 6, we have an I don't know. Provide information to the public that supports board discussions and decisions. And we had one person say, don't know. I think I said some of the time, maybe? I
Like-
don't remember on this one,
Provide
but
I know, for
information to
example,
public.
with the bond, you know, we've got a lot of that information out there.
Yeah.
You know, when we discuss something in here, do we turn around and provide supporting information online?
it's on our webpage. The problem is getting,
I gotta silence this.
is getting people to actually find it.
Mm.
Because you'll find like a lot of people don't want to find it, they just want to
They wanna
talk
go-
about it.
But it's
Sure.
out
They
there
don't-
though.
Yeah, it's
I looked
there.
at that as in, everything is there if you just look.
Sure.
Yeah.
And like, people say, well, you know, you guys mismanage funds, yada, 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 and we say, no, we don't, we have a budget. And they say, well, it should be, and it's public record, and it's on the counter
Mm-hmm.
at the district office. But nobody will take the time to actually go and pick it up and look at it.
No,
Or-
that's, yeah.
So, I think that there's a perception, but it's not a perception from everybody. But that's one of the things, like, since I started, that I want like more transparency and be more open, so I think there's always room for improvement.
Well, maybe, do we, I know we post the minutes, and I know you take notes. Would it be possible, I know it would be more work, and maybe it's more work than is realistic, but if we want to try and be more transparent, here are the minutes from the meeting, and then in the topic area, have links to supporting information. Right? So,
Yeah.
anyone who, you know, the simpler you can make it, the more it's in their face, the more they are gonna at least have trouble saying, prove it.
How, that's the whole thing is like, so it's all on this.
Nobody
How
looks
can
at the
we
minutes
click
though,
it?
honestly.
No?
It shows no one.
You can listen to all of them, get
Oh, yeah.
verbatim, not even somebody's
Does it show how
opinion.
many people actually listen on YouTube?
Yeah.
Seem like a lot
Is
of people
anyone on
tell
there
me
now?
to listen on YouTube
Me and Taylor.
right now.
Hi, Taylor. So I think that's a topic, maybe we go through this, but instead of like stopping at everyone and trying to solve it, maybe we
Mhm.
pick the
Yeah.
ones that we wanna solve.
Sure.
And then,
Yeah.
so I think I like
Yeah.
that one, okay. And then the next one was question 7, follow a defined process for gathering input prior to making critical decisions. We had one, never. One some of the time, one most of the time, and one always. It's funny how like,
We're so spread out.
yeah, that everybody has such a different, like perception of how we're doing and what we're doing. I think that we do, but I also think that it may not be clear to all the board members what the process is. Does that kind of,
Oh, I think that would be a big start, wouldn't it? Saying this, you know, this is the process we're gonna follow. I mean, right now, it seems like it's just ask questions if you have them. That's not discussion, that's not collecting input. That's just saying, well, if you've got a problem, state it.
I think like when you do the board boot camp,
Uh-huh.
things will be a lot clearer as far as how.
That's when we meet up before the Monday.
That was when we were gonna go, we're doing it up in Spokane that you
Oh,
can't go now.
that's not gonna work
So
then.
you're gonna have to do the online one, so we all are on the same page. But I think that'll help a lot, where you see, and you're with other people, you'll see kind of the limitations that school boards have as far as discussions and
Mhm.
things, and, but a lot of the school boards that I talk to, they get together a lot more often.
Yeah.
And they get that like camaraderie and to work together as a group that we've kind of struggled to get just because it's
'Cause
hard
we
getting
don't like
everybody
each other?
together.
I'm teasing.
Well,
Uh,
the time commitment, I
It-
think,
it-
really is a lot. But I think you have to be willing to make it, or it's
Yeah.
hard to develop, you
Yeah.
know?
Because unless we all can get together and have retreats and stuff, I mean, you see how hard it is just to get a date
Five of
to
us.
do the,
Yeah.
to do anything. Kayla's like probably banging her head, like, you know, I can't get these 5 people to get together. And unless we have time, because when we do retreats like we did with the last board, and we would do them in the conference room, and we talked about, we had an agenda, but we talked about a lot of different stuff in that agenda.
That worked well.
And you can get stuff done, but it's actually getting all of us together to do that.
It's tough.
And until we can do that, it's hard, because we can't just, you know, and we can ask, like, when we're in our meetings too, you can ask questions and you can like give your opinions and all that kind of stuff, and that's kind of how we discuss, but you're using Robert's Rules of Order, so it's not as fluid as it is if you're in a workshop like this or in a retreat.
So, I'm interested in open, normal conversation about the topics we're having. I don't really feel like I'm going to have I'm not here to debate, I'm not here to follow Robert's Rule of Order. I mean, I understand in our meetings, you know, when it's official board meetings, we have to follow Robert's rules. But when it's us trying to talk and amongst each other and collaborate,
That would be a retreat,
okay,
or like this, where we're doing a workshop.
Mm.
We can't do it in the meeting setting,
I recognize
so
that.
yeah, it's frustrating. So we need to, we have to get together to do it. So I mean, do you have another idea?
No, I'd say, why, I don't know, man, the workshop doesn't feel like that. The workshop seems like,
This is what this is though, right now, is a workshop.
okay. But the workshops we've done in the past has not been open, collaborative conversation, I don't know.
Cause they're more, I think we've done like topics too, like we try to do a topic for a workshop.
Okay.
So that we have, like, today's topic is this,
Mhm.
so we can discuss all the things that are in this, which is kind of everything. So maybe we do more.
Well, like
Okay,
asking-
my opinion, the workshops that I've been to thus far have not been productive or helpful. So, you know, I don't know what else to say, except my experience has been,
Well-
you're basically showing up solo and voting, which is fine if that's what it is, but it doesn't feel like a collaborative
Workshop, so
conversation.
we don't vote though. at
No, I know,
workshops.
but
Okay,
I'm
okay.
saying that still does not contribute to a collaborative discussion. It still feels like a siloed.
That's where I think that the best bet is a retreat.
No.
Is coming in and having just an open,
Okay.
sort of off-the-cuff
That's
discussion.
what-
at
I,
an open
I
board
keep
meeting.
waiting, okay,
It's hard.
if that's what it
But
is, I
we-
don't care what the heck you call it.
So you
I'm
have to
just
call it a
gonna-
retreat when we just talk about anything?
It's not necessarily the name. The reason for the workshops, a lot of districts do workshops ahead of their study sessions or their board meetings, and they go over one single topic, and it's like more like they use them like for training or to go over results like this, or it's for specific things. And then you do like your retreats and stuff like that to be able to talk about more stuff. But we haven't been able to, we've gotten one retreat scheduled, and then just, we haven't been able to get
Okay.
everybody to do it. So, but I had told Kayla and Dan that I would love to get a retreat scheduled for this quarter, because we said we would do one a quarter. But,
And that'd be where we can just talk about the things that were on our mind. It doesn't have to be
Yes.
on an agenda.
All right.
so now that you really want it, you guys will be open with your schedule and scheduled to do it.
My schedule is pretty open. It's just consistently, I work for a living, so as long as it can be after
A certain
business
time,
hours.
we're good.
Mhm.
I'm
I'm
just right
available.
there.
What about, because we used to do them on like, was it Sundays, Dan, or Sunday?
We ended up, Sunday afternoon was a big time, that's historically
Oof.
when we were
All right,
doing.
so.
2 to 5, something like that.
So 8, annual assessment of its performance. That's what kind of this is. And
Okay,
we had somebody say
So
don't know,
then-
so that's kind of what the board assessment is. And it,
so then the answer would be no, we don't do it, because I saw the last time we did it was what, 2018?
mhm.
And
That's what I
Before
said
that
was
was
never.
11.
Yeah, so,
It's very
no, we're not
sporadic.
doing it.
No.
It's and it's up to the, it's not like it's required.
I think it's gonna be
That's fine.
hard if we're only doing it once every 6 years.
It is
Yeah.
really
Right.
hard.
Yeah.
It's not good.
It's
So-
not, we're not gonna.
Not improved.
I mean,
Can't
that
tell
this
if you're
survey
improving.
thing took what, 10, 15 minutes?
Yeah. But but even then, we only had 4 people do it.
Wow.
So that's, if it's stuff like this, it's the whole, trying to get everybody on the same page to do things together. And we
That's
did,
very
sorry.
frustrating.
Set goals for its improvement. We had, I don't know, I think, I mean, we have our like strategic plan, and
That's more
goals and
district
stuff,
goals, but
but
if you think of, from this, what are board goals? As we develop, what would we wanna do to become a better, more effective governing body?
and that'd
Have
be
we
a good
talked about
retreat.
that?
Not
I
really,
mean, no, we haven't.
because we have our meetings and we come in our meetings and we have our agenda and you have to do what's on the agenda and you need retreats.
To
or,
get
you
over
know, whatever
that.
it-
So we're not, that's what we're missing is more retreats so we can express our feelings,
Mhm.
especially if we're frustrated about things. So the 5 of us can talk about this.
Mhm.
That's what we're missing. That's what, I felt very frustrated the first 3 months because I thought we could talk about anything and it was never that way.
And I know when I started, it was a long time before we did a retreat. And it was basically, you came, you read your stuff, you came into the meeting, you had the meeting, I mean, just like we do, but we didn't have a retreat for a long time.
So this is a workshop, so we can't talk about anything, or just open
we gotta talk about what's on.
the agenda.
We can't, Dan,
In here, I think you can, we're talking about the self-assessment from that, I think some of the stuff you discuss is fair game.
yeah,
As long as we're not voting and making decisions.
Yeah, we're not doing decisions.
I think that's part of this discussion process. But, as I look through this, you think about it, 4 people did it.
Mhm.
There's only 5 total, so you're
Right.
not gonna have a huge group to
Oh,
pick from.
yeah.
And with 4, you can split, you can have it divided, one here, one,
Yeah.
And so when you come from that, you think, okay, this may not give me the best information, but I think if it was done on a yearly or annual basis, and we started to see these things a little bit more, and then
Track it a
connect
little
them more to what we do as a board member and as a body, I think it would have a deeper meaning. My experience has been, this has been difficult every time.
What do you mean? What's
getting
the-
people to do it,
Oh,
you know, or figuring out the time and all that stuff.
yeah.
That, it's never not been been difficult. And so when you think about, you know, okay, number 9, I think we just said set goals for improvement. I guess what this means is that 2 people believe that we kind of do that, and then you have one that doesn't and one that says never, I think, or don't know.
Yeah.
Most of the time, never and don't know. That's pretty broad spread.
Well, if we have set goals, I think I might have been the don't know.
Yeah.
If
I
we've
don't-
set goals, I'd like to know what they are.
No, we haven't. We
So
have
then-
not sat down and done that.
So then most of the time was a complete hose. Like,
Well-
there are no goals. I mean,
And
if
I
there's
don't-
no goals, then we're not
Well,
doing it, right?
well, I don't think, did the previous board have goals?
This isn't bad, I'm not bad mouthing,
No,
I'm
no,
just
no.
going, if we're not
Just bring
doing it,
it
we're
with
not
stuff.
doing
No,
We need
it.
to
but I'm
talk
just,
about it.
I'm thinking, I don't think that the board itself has had, it didn't have goals when I
Goals to
started.
reach.
Sure.
So-
So like, do we want to set?
Yes.
I think we should do. That's
Well,
important.
then that's a workshop right there.
There
Everything
it
you
is.
say, do we wanna do that, I'm gonna say yes, just because,
Like,
but
okay,
we gotta
is
narrow
a
it down because,
is it-
yeah.
Priority enough to turn around and say, let's make a workshop for it.
Yeah,
That's-
I think so.
And I think, and if you don't feel like the workshop has been helpful, then you could give more input as to what you want the workshops to be. Like Healthy Use Survey, that was a workshop. When we went over, are we here?
I must not have been.
Okay, so Healthy Youth Survey, that was a workshop. And that was when they talked about the results from Healthy Youth Survey.
I don't remember that one.
Fine, you guys just probably were sleepy through it. So yeah, no, I think that we need to like pick the
'Cause
top ones out of here.
Here's another one like that would be good is to talk about, I guess it would be a retreat, so the things that because we are the representatives for our area, the things that we're hearing and being told to talk about. We don't have any times where we can just walk in and go, this is what people are frustrated or even happy about, but can we talk about how we can deal with it?
And a lot of times that stuff that you hear, that's a phone call to him.
Got it.
And you say, I hear somebody's upset about this, can you check into it, or can you give me the info about it? That's a call to Dan. Just FYI. But
Okay,
yeah, but
all right.
then, but make a note of it, and then, you know, we can tell
Oh,
them.
Okay, well, here's
Example.
one, bring this up. In the pamphlet for voting, there's no pros on the school thing, the bond. What
They
happened
didn't get it
there?
turned in.
Oh,
That's not a school district thing, believe it or not.
who was
That
it?
is a bond committee thing.
Oh, God. I mean, we keep stumbling on ourselves here.
Did you guys get my bond committee email?
In the
Mhm.
bond committee email.
Went to your personal email?
What about it?
Just that we could use help?
Oh, no.
So let me give you an explanation of what happened, Isaac.
Yeah.
You can have a committee of up to 3 people. They are a pro vote yes committee.
Yeah.
So they're making a statement that has to be submitted by a certain
Yeah,
time.
I know what it is, yeah.
August 16th, that says, here's why you should vote yes.
Got it.
What ended up happening is we had 3 people on the committee, and as I find out, everybody was emailed, but everybody kind of deferred to person number 1, who was off the grid, didn't get the message until we were contacted sometime during the week of August 20th and there beyond, saying, hey, we don't have anything. The good news is,
Great.
if you look at the con, the guy that lives in Mill Creek, and that's where he lives, clearly hasn't stepped foot in this community, because he says in his negative.
How
that-
is he writing something for our bond? Shouldn't it have to come from the same community?
They've changed the law that it does, but it isn't going to
He
affect
sends them
until
all
next
over the
year.
place. If
He
you look
does it
through
for
the
every
voting
district.
pamphlet,
That's
he's
crap.
got one in there for Lake Stevens,
Okay.
okay? He's got them in other regions. The law passed last year, but it won't go in effect until
Till next.
February of 2025. There is some posting on Facebook that is coming from him through Jessica Fritz,
Yeah, okay.
because he called us on Friday asking for some documents. While accusing us of not telling the truth, he's not providing all the information. So,
Lovely.
All right, so far, we want to make sure that we want to do board goals.
Yep.
We want
That's
to
important.
clarify what our process is for gathering input, which was question number 7.
Okay.
We wanna do the annual assessment annually.
Might be it smarter. It doesn't take a whole lot.
No.
Does this cost anything?
It didn't cost anything, did it, Kayla? No.
Only
just-
to have it facilitated
Yeah.
to set goals.
And it's just basically getting everybody to do it.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
And, but, you know, also in that note for this, for the board goals, we need to put it out there, like, this is the date you need to make it work. If you put it way out, unless you're out of the, we need to make sure everyone is on point with that one.
Caleb's
luck.
been trying.
You're wonderful.
Not easy. So on honor the roles and responsibilities of the superintendent, we had 3 that said most of the time and 1 that said some of the time. To me, that's, I think I was probably the some of the time because people are not honoring the role of superintendent and going to other people instead. Like, that's one of the things I think we need to talk to about in a retreat too, is what is, and that'll be the board boot camp, like what our role is, and what our role is, we make the what, you know, the rules, and then he's the one that follows, that makes it happen.
Implements
Yes.
policy.
Yes.
I mean, I can think of one example of someone who fits what you've described, but other than Mary Ann,
Yeah.
can you think of others? I mean,
No.
I think though, you guys need to, and I know he's busy and everything, we got, if you have a question or an issue or whatever, call him. I'm sure gets tired of me because anytime I see something or hear something, hey, what's this? Why, what happened with this? But they're not gonna know unless
We
we
say something.
say something.
I can
So-
tell you, having communication is much more easing to my mind than not. You know, because it's really clear to me that I work for 5 directors. When we're not cohesive, my role is much less clear.
Sure.
You know, and it takes time to develop that cohesion. On the, you know, I'll just share some examples from my perspective. At times we've had difficulty, let's go back to the topic of mismanaging money. I'm not so sure that that isn't really just a purposeful thing, because nobody ever provides any evidence, you know.
I don't ever hear that. I mean,
Oh,
but
it's
I think
all
it-
over social
Yeah.
media.
Well, I stay off.
Whenever
that.
we run a bond, they just mismanage money. But
That's
nobody,
awful.
nobody can ever tell you what all,
No.
you know.
Well, we got a list, but then you go, because I finally got from Richard a list, but
What
then
was
none
the
of it was,
list?
remember he had like a whole,
So, well, here's where some of it went. How many people are on YouTube, Kayla?
We have 3 now.
Okay. Some of the list was on some properties that we attempted to buy before we built the bus barn. And the board in good faith didn't, wasn't able to buy them, for one reason or another. We can't just go and say it. But as the story started to move around, it was that we turned it down, or we didn't do it. And that there were reasons why we didn't, you know, the board chose not to purchase it. So some of it ends up on misinformation, but I'm not sure that it's not, in some ways purposeful misinformation, you know? I mean,
It is
we get
purposeful.
audited, we, you know, we do all kinds of things. There might be, in some ways, somebody might say, well, gosh, you know, you bought that curriculum and you paid way too much for it. Well, we don't have any options if we're gonna buy curriculum.
Right.
It's the cost that it is. We had a situation a few years ago where a survey got going around as we needed a new track. Somebody asked the question, do you make the track black, blue, or the normal sort of bronze color, whatever it is,
That
clay color?
reddish clay, yeah.
And somebody says, oh, they're gonna go spend more money for the color of the track. It wasn't the case, you know? That kind of stuff gets twisted
How's
up a little bit.
how is the curriculum doing? Because this is the first full year of
Good.
it.
Good.
That's what
The-
I've heard from elementary teachers.
Yeah, I observed a lesson the other day, and I think you'll see over time, good. And one of the things it does is it pulls us together. We don't have people off doing their own thing.
Right.
because you can have a lot of people working really hard doing their own thing and you don't get good results.
We're on page 9 of 41.
Yep.
We have
I
to
want to
keep-
talk, but can we just at least get like a few more of these that we want to like?
Sure, what do you wanna say?
Okay.
What numbers do you have identified so far?
Well, goals,
Yeah.
process for gathering input, which is number 7. And then providing the information, number 6, to the public, making sure that like, that's a big one.
So one of the things that you know, let's say you want to connect better with the general public. You know, I'm here for another 6 or 7 months, but maybe one of the things you do with a new superintendent is say, look, we want to have a parent advisory committee. Almost like a regular group of folks that,
What the high school has, right?
like the high school has. We've done those things at various times, and they do run their course after a while. I think when you have somebody new that's an unknown and establishing rapport and a relationship, that would be a positive thing to do. You know, we have gone down to the bookstore to meet people, we've gone to different restaurants, and it doesn't do very, you know, we just don't have good audiences. And so maybe developing a committee of key communicators that, you know, people sign up to be part of it or whatever, and say, look, we'll commit to a, you know, meeting a month or something for an hour where the superintendent meets with this broad group of folks. People can bring up things to talk about. You can, you know, the superintendent would bring things. So that would be an example of trying to figure out how to meet that. But there's more than one way, you know.
Okay, number 13, there's an I don't know on it, and I like your idea, wanting to, like, let's discuss at least the I don't knows. Govern using policies that align with research-based practices. Our policies are from mostly WASDA's policies, and those all come with, like, the policy, what is it called, policy and legal news, or some, whatever that is?
Policy news.
Yeah, so those all come vetted, basically, already before they get to us. Does that answer that? Whoever had an I don't know on that?
I'm sure it was me.
Does that help?
Research is,
Some of them it's law. We could, you know,
yeah.
meaning that, especially if you see will and shall, you see those, you know, changed. There's some recodified law, and so that some of the verbiage is changed.
Sure.
You have different levels of policies.
I guess
everything-
because I just never see any research, I just go, like, you're just handed a piece of paper, it's like, I mean,
It's in,
I get what you're saying, yeah, I never thought about that, WASDA's done the, you know, came
Yeah.
from a
Done
lawyer or
all the
whatever.
work.
some districts have their own in-house attorneys.
We're not big enough.
We-
For now, we're not
But
even-
when you go through, whenever there's a policy, it'll be whenever supporting documents are attached. So she attaches like the policy news in there, and sometimes it's difficult because I've looked through and it's long, and you're trying to find like the specific policy. So maybe, hey, Lena's gonna hate me for this. Maybe like this policy is addressed on page 10 of
Yeah.
this. That might be
They
nice.
have it usually indexed, like there's usually like a
Okay.
table of contents.
Perfect.
and
I just
so
missed
it'll-
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's okay.
Okay.
Usually there's like a little.
So the
block.
other thing you'll see, Michael, at the bottom, you'll see as they're updated, we provide all the dates that changes have been made or when
Right.
it was implemented. It might say essential, it might say optional, it might say recommended. And so the ones that are essential are typically bound in law or legislative action. Ones that are recommended are just good governance.
And we just started a policy committee. Kayla is heading it up. And we're gonna go through, the important stuff first. So like, we're gonna, a social media, policy, and there was one, what was the other one?
So, is it gender inclusive schools? We already have
Yeah.
that policy, but kind of revisiting.
So
that.
those policies that, and then really kind of get it to where we know exactly like what's essential, what's, you know, and everything's listed out so that we go through them in a timely manner. So right now it's Kayla, myself, Dave, and Michelle Rudd. And then once we kind of get organized and everything, we'll try to bring like a parent in and, you know, some other people. But I think that's gonna help a lot. Somebody said never on number 15, collaborate with colleagues across the region, state, or nation. I think I probably said never. We kind of do, but this is one of the things, like when we have, from when I started, no one was going to the WASDA conferences. No one went to the annual conference with the, where they come up with their policies, you know, or their priorities. We just were supposed to come up with our top 10 priorities as a district. That didn't happen either. So,
Here would be a local example of how to do something like this. Lakewood School District, Lincoln School District. Both boards did this self-assessment, they're meeting together to talk about it, so they can learn from one another.
and then they have like regional meetings and stuff like that, and I haven't seen a lot of that, like where our board has reached out to, well, with the one exception, hasn't reached out to other boards or other, you know, WASDA members or whatever to get more information.
I reached out to Granite Falls, to their school district, and just was like, hey, you know, I'd love to hear what you guys do. I talked to their superintendent, I got a couple emails, and then she ghosted me, man. And I couldn't, none of their direct emails are on their website. I was a little disappointed, I was like, wow.
None of what on the website?
None of their board members' contact information.
Their-
I couldn't even
Their
find
direct
names.
emails, like their.
I couldn't even
school-
find their names.
Well, that's because somebody probably called them and told them not to talk to you.
I can't blame them.
No, I can help with that. I think it's.
We're doing a
important.
workshop on our self-assessments, that's just FYI.
Yeah, I was
But
So
one of the things
Dana,
too
you
is like,
interacted with Dana?
I'd have to look it up, but, I mean, it's in my.
one thing that we can do is like a couple of us can go to Monroe and watch their board meeting, or we
That's a
go to
good
Granite
idea.
Falls and watch
That's
a
a-
board
I've
meeting.
I've
You can
heard,
do it from
I've heard
your
how
phone.
Monroe's running, I'm not sure that's.
Look it up on YouTube.
See all the crap
YouTube,
they're
but I
doing
like
with
to,
them, but-
I like in person.
You can do
I
that.
actually, that wouldn't be
I thought
bad.
Monroe
We've had
was doing
board members
better.
here
I'd
before.
do that.
I've heard they're doing better, but.
Better.
They're doing better.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's
But-
hard, like, the whole, like, I'm gonna miss Spokane. It's so hard to do stuff, like, I'm 55 to 60 hours a week. It's so hard to get to all these things.
Yeah.
I would love
For
to,
real.
and like the Spokane one, I have a contract, I have to have it done before that Monday before Thanksgiving, because people are gonna be in the home. So it's like, crap, I can't be gone
You
the,
just said that so you can have money.
well, it's money.
So
Right.
You already
how you
committed
can
to it.
make up for it.
Is I will totally go to a Monroe
is
one and
put
check
your-
that out.
Put your
Yeah.
sneakers on this weekend.
I will.
Have your
Oh.
knocking hand ready.
Oh, I'm going.
Read
I'm
my
already
email.
going. I try to be everywhere. I try to.
We have bond committee meetings, there's social media meetings,
Well, those
there's
are
gonna
not
be
fun.
door knock, well, yeah, it's not fun, but we need presence from the board,
I know.
other than myself, please. 16 and 17,
Dana,
18.
Gessler?
Yeah,
Yeah, reached out to her.
interesting. What'd you ask her?
Number 20, there's an I don't know.
I'll get back.
Number 20, professional development, there's an I don't know on that one. But that's basically attending conferences, holding study sessions, workshops, that kind of stuff is professional development for us.
And we're trying to kick that in.
And there's also gonna be a, national conference in April that
Is it
will,
not New Orleans? That
it's
was
in,
last year?
I think Georgia.
Oh, I see, I could do something like that.
Oh, got time for Georgia, just not for
But not
Spokane.
Been
Man, if
there?
it was in Vegas, he would have
Yeah,
dropped
I
that
would
contract.
have
Well,
The
rescheduled.
now I
school board
think-
does have a budget for this.
Now we're gonna get the teachers, because in the past, we'd be like, what, you guys are going to Vegas for that? I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know about that. Now they're gonna come to us and be like, what, you're going to Atlanta?
Hey, my wife's been to Vegas multiple times on the school dime.
But yeah, we'll talk about that.
And her learning shows. I can see.
Well,
it.
my wife's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Number
23.
21, there's a red, never on that one, collaborative processes that result in well-informed. That's the thing, collaborative, that we need to have those retreats and stuff, so we actually can have the discussions, because we can't in the regular meetings.
And it shows right there because we each voted something different there.
Somebody said always.
Yeah,
That's all
I think
over
I
the
said
place,
never.
isn't it?
23, there's a don't know. Through policies and actions, express our belief that all students can learn. That's
That
a
will-
tough one.
That is a
like,
tough one.
I mean, I think that's gonna be a big one when we redo like our mission statement and our goals and stuff, like strategic plan and things, but, let's see. 20, wait, did I go the wrong way? We already did collaboration, right?
25 has a never.
Foster a
Foster.
culture of collaboration around the shared purpose. I think we're working on that with PLCs. With the staff at least. So, okay. Including stakeholders when developing and revising the district vision. We're kind of all over with that, but we haven't done that since what, 2000, when did you guys last do the strategic plan and vision?
So it's 2019.
Okay.
And the
So
challenge
technically-
is kind of a hybrid, and then we went right into COVID, and
That
it's been a
squash
challenge.
that. yeah.
So we have tried to stay true to the guaranteed and viable curriculum that's part of the whole PLC model, early learning, and all that, but I would have, as I've suggested to you guys as a board, have it facilitated by whoever the new superintendent is, so that they have some real ownership in it.
So
He
we,
just doesn't have to do it again.
we talked about this, that, if you guys remember, we talked about like
Come on.
updating our mission, vision, and goals and strategic vision and all that kind of stuff, and we talked about, do we wanna do it before the new person starts, or we do wanna do it after? And Dan and I and Kayla were talking about it, and, I think it's important to wait until that we get our new person to come up with it, because then that way they're a part of it with us, instead of saying,
For sure.
here.
Yeah,
So-
here, we've already
okay,
implemented
yeah.
this.
Cause we had some
Go
people
figure
said,
it out.
And I think the part about having that individual do it, that's been more of a trend. You know, we had it
'cause you can pay
facilitated
for
from
it.
somebody, you know, that comes in and pays for it. You know, you think everybody has ownership for it, but I'm not sure that it's as deep as you would want it to be. You know, the person, you want the goals associated to the superintendent, which is the secretary of the board, that's out, you know, carrying out the goals of the board and all of that, working with staff to do that, and if people have a hand in it with them as the facilitator. I've seen a much bigger trend of that happening lately. Are those dahlias?
They're mine, whatever they are. Miscellaneous. Miscellaneous.
I'd like my dahlia collection to be added to a little bit.
I searched my predecessor's files, and the last time the superintendent board goals were made, it looks like was 2012, 2013.
Oh, nice, okay.
12 years ago.
So
See, that's
Michael,
what I was saying, like, I
I
went through
will
this and I see
happily
like so
do it,
many
but I
things
don't
like that we
know
need to
that
do.
you give-
Oh, I'm teasing. I'm
I'm
totally
excited.
teasing.
Actually,
I
I'm
mean,
gonna
I
go,
think-
I'll
I'm
find
not-
a
I think
row and a
legitimately-
Snohomish one.
It sounds like it needs to
Like,
be
if you
done,
wanna
but
do-
I get what you're
Cause
saying.
It does.
It
I would too.
very much
I would
makes
find
sense to
that
have the
very
person who's
interesting.
going to
Monroe
be
is like they're,
implementing and be such a
Not
part
on
of
the
it, to
same
be a
basis as
part
I
of
looked
that
at it.
plan.
There's a sense of
They don't look at the same
freshness,
time.
newness.
Yeah. No, no,
Just
I'm
to
sorry.
See how
I'm-
Monroe and
I'm
Snohomish
just-
are doing, that's huge.
You gotta
Look
learn,
at-
I'm way more
Okay, let's-
sarcastic than you think.
let's finish this and let's say we're done basically, but how about we look, we're on page 17, how about we each kind of just look through it and pull the ones that are important, and then I'll start a list, and if you send me what you see as like the more important ones, then I can put it on a list, and then we can maybe rank it, and then accomplish the top ones first.
Okay,
and then strategic.
so, now, or we're saying? we
No,
do
cause
it
it's already
later?
5:49, yeah, we just do it on our own, and,
You're
'cause we
good.
had some discussion, good discussion, I think.
So I will send you a document that will give you more background on what each of the standards means. Maybe it'll be more reading, but that might give you a little bit more insight as to, you know, if you go to standard 4 and it's question 26 and 27, what's the deeper part of that
Sure.
from a board member's perspective?
All right, so we're done now, Kayla, 5:49, for the workshop at least.
Motion to adjourn.
But we're not,
You guys can decide. I don't know.
do we want to have those rules for our
Decided.
workshop? I know,
No, I don't think we need it.
there, he decided.
Is Mike gonna make it tonight?
Michael
Yeah, he's
will.
supposed to be here by 6. Hi, how was volleyball this weekend?
It was good.
Yeah?
Yeah. Long.
I bet, especially after Friday,
Yes.
long day
It was a
Friday.
little early.
What time did the dance get out on Friday?
11,